They did find her body. It was certainly the very, very sad news that nobody had hoped would be the outcome, that of 23-year-old Kada Scott.
Greg is back on this story again this morning. Greg.
Yeah, I mean, as you said it, Karen, I mean, this is a result that nobody wanted in regards to this missing persons case. And unfortunately, the remains that law enforcement found behind Ada Lewis Middle School over the weekend, it has been confirmed that that is the remains of 23-year-old Kada Scott. Now, police say they found 23-year-old Kada Scott's body after receiving an anonymous tip that led investigators back to the former Ada Lewis Middle School Saturday morning, an area previously searched by police. That tipster, according to sources, asked police to please go back, saying they missed her, and gave a specific location in a wooded area behind the vacant school. When officers went back, they eventually found a body in a shallow grave. Kada's debit card and phone case were found in a different area by the school in the previous search. Kada went missing the night of October 4th after arriving for her overnight shift at a senior living facility in Chestnut Hill. More than a week later, police arrested and charged 21-year-old Keon King in connection with Scott's kidnapping and for a previous kidnapping of a woman earlier this year that was originally dismissed when a key witness failed to show up to court. Investigators believe King was the last person to see her the night she disappeared. As mentioned, police say they found the body after searching the area a second time, which has led to quite a bit of frustration amongst community members.
We were back here, and our dogs were back here. Officers were back here. Again, it's there is a lot of wooded area.
Why did they lie to us and say that they searched this school thoroughly with special trained dogs and drones? Why did the dogs pick up this scent? The body wasn't that deep.
I'm proud of the.
And why didn't you stop the other black man who killed her? You know, you got a whole lot of smoke for the fucking police, and you're not putting any onus or responsibility on yourself as an alleged community leader. Why weren't you able to protect this girl? Why weren't you leading a task force to keep men like this off the streets? You know, you're a fake ass community leader, but you literally sit around and try to find ways to get criminals like him out of police custody and back onto the streets. Then once they reoffend and they kill someone, now you're complaining to the police for why they didn't find the body faster. Why don't you go to hell? You got more smoke for the police who are doing you a favor. This isn't for the police. They don't need this to get funding. They're helping you. They're doing you a favor by looking for your member of your community. And instead of being grateful, you're complaining. Now, don't get me wrong. In my opinion, the person they got arrested might not even be the serial killer. Think about it. If they had, come on, cadaver sniffing dogs missed this body in this shallow grave. Wasn't even that deep. They missed it. And then an anonymous tip from who? Who else knew this body was back there and wanted it to be found? Because if you knew the body was back there, well, then you know who put it there. Did you put it there? Did you help him put it there? Why did you tell police to go back and search again? Who called? The man they have in jail for this murder didn't call from prison. Right now, he's the only person that's a suspect. So how did somebody else know exactly where to tell them to look? You know, it's crazy. This is the second black serial killer I've done a report on in the past 2 weeks. The reason it's so difficult to prosecute and to profile these black serial killers is because the black community itself, who's typically the victims of these black serial killers, the black community himself will tell you that profiling killers, rapists, child molesters, etc., it's all racist if you do it. Basically, solving crimes, arresting people for crimes, if the perpetrator is black, it's racist. So you can't have it both ways. You can't hate the police, but then beg the police. That's the problem with the cult mentality. You become a double-minded person. That means you can't trust this person. You can't believe anything they say because they lie. They're double-minded. You can't have it both ways. They're not telling the truth. So you can't sit here and be mad at the police, but then also be mad at the police when they arrest this person and call them racist because they're black. That's why there's so many black serial killers out here that just get away. Because to even accuse them, to arrest them under suspicion, you will be deemed as racist. You'll probably lose your job, even if you get a conviction. Depending on what state you're in, how liberal the DA, the judges, the police captain is your police chief a DEI hire? Depending on where you are, if the criminal is not a white man with a knife like Michael Myers, then you're going to be in trouble for even arresting them. This guy that's in jail right now, they're saying that he was only out because a Soros-Backed DA freed him after another assault and kidnapping last year. So this DA knew that this was a troubled man who was dangerous. But remember, we're talking about the black community. You know, in the black community, it's worse to be a snitch than it is to be a pedophile. So when you have a culture of stop snitching, don't snitch, they said that when the person that was a witness to the kidnapping last year, the reason they let the guy go was because the witness never showed up to court. Because of the whole stop snitching thing, they couldn't show up to court. The black community will shun you. And if it's a cult, they'll kick you out of the cult for being a snitch. It's cold out there when you're alone. The warmth of the cult is what a lot of people live for. That's why they talk. That's why they all have the same talking points and they repeat the same nonsense. I can't believe this man sitting up here crying about, hey, well, you guys said you should. What if they did check a while ago and the body wasn't there? And the next day, the person who was responsible put the body there. We don't know. We don't know. But we do know whoever they got in jail wasn't alone. We know that somebody knew where this body was and they called in. So that means they didn't call from a jail phone to make an anonymous tip. How'd they know? You know, people are asking the wrong questions. Monsters are real. Monsters are out there. There's a monster right now, probably plotting on you, waiting for you to be alone, to be by yourself, late night. They're watching you, learning your work schedule, learning what time you walk your dog, seeing do you lock your back door, figuring out if you have a gun in the house, figuring out if you have a man in the house. You think you're not on the list? You think there's nobody watching you? Maybe somebody who developed a crush on you that you passed in a grocery store, or they saw you at a gas station and they think that they've mistaken identity and now they're just following you. These serial killers have no rhyme or reason sometimes. They just kill when they get an opportunity. And because there's no motive, you're not able to say, okay, well, this person right here is a suspect. Because this person doesn't even live in the neighborhood. They were just there for the day. You'll catch them if you get lucky. But think about it. This woman was a beauty pageant winner, a beauty pageant person. This could have been somebody who was obsessed with her, been following her, knew where she worked, what time she went to work, knew there were no cameras in that parking lot, made his move. But these are also the same women, on the other hand, that said they don't need men anymore, said men are creepy, said they'd rather choose a bear. They hate law enforcement. They hate ICE. You know, ICE is deporting kidnappers, rapists, child molesters, and these people are fighting to keep them here. The same women who are being killed by these dangerous men are begging for more dangerous men to be brought here. You can't have it both ways. You gotta, sometimes you're your own worst enemy. Let's continue.
Men and women in this organization that have, been doing the work to try to locate Ms. Scott. And again, in our minds, we know this was a possible reality.
I'm speaking on the behalf of the community. We need answers on why did y'all tell us y'all did a thorough search?
And police have mentioned they understand the frustration from community members and they were expecting that response because there's just a lot of emotion behind this case. Now, you are...
Don't believe their lies. Don't believe it. There's no such thing as a community leader of black people. There's no such thing as a black community. There are just a bunch of people that just happen to be black that live around each other, but they don't know each other. They don't work together. There is no community. There's no communion. There is no dealing with each other. That's a lie. What he's doing is grifting and hoping that he can make a couple of dollars off of this case. Maybe somebody will pay him for an interview. He has no connection to the family. He has no connection to the victim. Maybe he has no connection to the killer, but you can't rule that out. For all you know, he helped the guy. And now he helped you look for this woman. He actually told the police where they were, and he made sure to show up with his black ass bald head extra shaved so we can do these interviews. We don't know. And we can't know because if we ask, it's considered racist. You can't even have a suspect because if you suspect somebody and they're black, you're considered racist. This Vegas serial killer, we don't even know how many other victims there are. Randomly was putting up ads on Craigslist for people to come do odd jobs, sex workers, random people, icing them immediately and getting away with it. Just walking back into the public and, the police are afraid to touch black people. They won't even arrest you anymore. They got to wait for a black cop to show up because if they say you mishandled them or you hurt them while arresting them after they committed a crime, well, then that's oppression and that's racism, akin to slavery. And then they get a lawyer, they sue the police department, and they request that you lose your job. So a lot of cops are just like, you know what, when it comes to murder in the black community, crimes against black people, because it's typically going to be done by another black person, they don't want to be involved. They stay out of it. Black people don't understand they're going to get what they ask for, which is no police. And do you know what that means? That means more of your pretty little daughters are going to end up in shallow graves because you have an inferiority complex against anybody who's male, white, or in a uniform. To the point where you're using the word fascist and you believe the definition is a straight white man in a uniform. Since those are the only people you ever see these people call fascists. But you scream for justice. But the only people that can bring you justice, you scream against them. But then you wonder where these monsters come from. Well, you can't put them in jail anymore because that'll be considered racist. Do you see how this is a self-fulfilling prophecy? Maybe this is karma for all the lies and all the rioting. Maybe this is karma. Maybe there's a dark cloud over this demographic of people. Everything's a scam. Everything's a hustle. But just like in any scam, somebody's going to get left holding the bag. She was left holding the bag. And now one man's in custody. Are they going to be able to prove that he did anything to her? Probably not. Because the main witness is in a grave. And anybody else who's a witness, since they live in an all-black area, well, for you to show up and point your finger at somebody, no matter what the crime is, whether it's murder, child molestation, rape, whatever, you can't show up and point your finger on the stand because that'd be considered snitching. So because of that, their case against him is going to be so weak, they're going to give him a plea deal. Maybe he does 2 or 3 years and then he's back on the street to reoffend. And so the cycle continues. But this is what the black community asked for. The rest of us don't ask for this. We don't want these problems. So that's why I said it's the black community, their poor decisions on how they vote and how they look at police is literally creating a more dangerous environment for the rest of society. When I say, oh, we need plantations, we need reservations where they can be separated in their own communities where there's no laws and they can do any crimes they want and they can be around each other and they can't blame white supremacy on white people. Everyone looks at me a little funny. But when you're looking at how they have college graduations segregated, they want segregated dorms, they want segregated schools, they want segregated police. They don't want to deal with anybody that's not black. I'm literally saying the same thing. I'm just being more practical and actually putting forth a plan on how we can implement it. But I'm the bad guy. when I'm literally saying we should give people what they want. Keep them away from everyone else. They enjoy danger. We don't. They celebrate death. We don't. I don't see mass protests about this woman's death. You know why? Because the guy that killed her isn't a white police officer or a white person, period. If it was, her picture would be all over every news station from here to Frankfurt, Germany. There'd be marches in the UK. Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, oppression, slavery. Right now, there'd be protests because this beautiful black girl was killed by some evil police officer or some racist white man. But because he's black, no one bats an eye. I got to do a video about it. I don't even see anybody else talking about it. Anton Daniels, he did a segment on it. No one else cares because no one involved is white. So there's no financial incentive. There's no one you can sue. There's no one you can grift and shame them into giving you money because a white person is evil and blah, blah, blah. Just the lies and the manipulation. And at the end of the day, this girl that was just going to work. But, you know, because of feminism, they knew she has no boyfriend, no husband, no man in her life. They knew she'd be alone. She's independent. So she's not checking in with nobody. There's no one asking where she is, making sure she's safe. There's no one that cares. Whoever this killer or killers were, they could have been following her for weeks, for months. That's how they got away with it. That's why there's no trace. They planned it. Monsters, real monsters. But you know what's scarier to me than a monster? An invisible monster. That even if you're looking directly at him, you can't see him. Because if you say, I see a black monster, well, you're considered racist. So you can't see him. You have to pretend that you didn't see anything and keep it moving. And then more and more of these women. You know, I live in Houston. You know how many girls they're finding in the bayou? Young women. I'll be honest, in the black community, selling sex is a part of the lifestyle, it's a part of the culture. Where some of these girls that were literally women of the night, probably. I'm seeing a lot more increase of women like that also meeting the same end. I think it's always been a problem with women from that lifestyle being murdered. But I think it's just more prevalent now because we have the internet. And normally people don't really care about what happens to black women just because there's consequences when you're looking for the killer. Say you arrest a guy and he's the wrong person. You now, even though the police were just doing their job, they're going to get sued for racism, discrimination, false imprisonment, everything. So really the police can't really do their job because the black community is going to make it too difficult. Other communities will be like, you know what? You made a mistake. I get it. You're just trying to find out who did something. But not this community. It's about money. They want a check. They want a bag. And at the end of the day, we're basically left just to be victims. Someone called in and told where her body was. So that means this man either has an accomplice or he didn't do it. So that means there's an invisible monster right now probably driving Uber, probably dropping off food, Uber Eats. And when they see somebody they want and they can't get that image out of their head, they come back for you. They follow you. And if you notice somebody black following you, you can't notice it because they're going to say, you're profiling me. You're racist. Racist. Because you notice that I'm following you from place to place. I'm camped out in front of your house, sleep. If somebody walked up to my car and said, hey, bro, you don't live on this block. Get the fuck off the street. Oh, you can't tell me to move. That's racist. I could go wherever I want. And the black community will support you. Full-blown killers, murderers, rapists, they'll back you. No problem. But then they're so confused when women like this end up dead. Doesn't make sense to me.
Looking at the school right now, at this point in time, there is a council member that is actually requesting that this school be demolished because she said it's not only an eyesore, but it's also now a center of a crime. Now, there is also another councilman, Anthony Phillips. He says that he's collecting donations to try to help the family during this tough time.
And what the fuck did I just say? He's collecting money for the family. Guess how much of that money is going to make it to her family? Zero. How much of the George Floyd money made it to his family? Zero. How about the money for Philandro Castile? Zero. You know who the only people who got some money? Carmelo Anthony, because he did the dirty work of the black community. You know, it's crazy. I watch the black community celebrate people like D.L. Hewley and Dr. Umar, and they also celebrate that idiot fucking chimp, Jasmine Crockett. And you wonder why. Well, what do those people do? Well, they verbally attack white people on behalf of the rest of Black America who's too timid to get on camera and say those things themselves. Carmelo Anthony took it a step further and attacked one and killed him. So what they want to do is they want to reward you because they want to encourage other people to do it. But then on the flip side, you want those same people to come save you when there's a serial killer out here laying you down. Yeah, right. I'll be honest, I can understand why the country is just wiping its hands with the black community and just said after the vaccine, we just don't care about you no more. We're going to fire you from all your jobs. No more DEI in Hollywood. No more making sure we put you in all of our commercials. We're gonna just separate ourselves from you. It seems like they know something is coming for the black community, and everyone just doesn't care anymore. They're just like, you know what, just move on. You know, when I'm explaining to you everything that's going on, there's no way you can't understand where the rest of America is coming from. Because remember, you got Black America and you got America. You can understand where America is coming from at that point. Now that I'm here explaining it to you, I'm sure you get it.
He is requesting items such as toiletries, gift cards, non-perishable food items.
Gift cards and non-perishable. This girl was 23, worked at a senior citizen home. She didn't die in a flood. She didn't die in a fire. Her family's not now homeless. No one lived with her. She had no kids. Why would I be giving your family packs of noodles and cans of tomato soup? What sense does any of this make? It's a grift. They want something. They want free everything. They're communist. It's a part of their culture. Martin Luther King was a communist. He was hired by communists. That's why their community has never recovered from the damage Martin Luther King has done. And now, X amount of years later, this is Democrat killer, a Democrat woman. All of this is just all contained. This is all a part of the same system passed down from MLK. Destroyed. The lack of accountability, destroyed. The victimhood to the point where now you're afraid to profile a black serial killer, destroyed. Everything's destroyed.
Other gifts for the family, and he's asking that you drop it off at his office, Councilman Anthony Phillips' office on Wadsworth Avenue, 1514 Wadsworth Avenue in Philadelphia. But then there's also going to be a press conference at 11 a.m. that is going to be held by the district attorney, which we can only imagine that it's going to be possibly additional charges added to.
And remember, this is a George Soros-backed DA who knew that this was a dangerous black man who was aggressive, history of violence, prone to killing. And they set him free because they want him to kill. They want him to commit crime. There's a lot of money in crime. And if you're purposely putting DAs backed by Soros, whose goals is to help collapse these cities so that the country will eventually buckle, well, then this just makes perfect sense. This DA is now under fire. Luckily, we have the Trump administration, so we have the DOJ under Trump who can investigate and hopefully get these DAs removed. A lot of them have been removed, but there's some that we missed. Drastic measures are going to have to be taken in the name of public safety, of course.
Keon King, who was arrested in connection to this kidnapping case. Guys.
And something I want answered is the original woman that got kidnapped by this guy. Okay, she didn't want to appear in court with a guy in the courtroom with her. Why don't they just do it by Zoom? You know what I mean? So a judge let him.
White people, Asians, everybody else. Nobody understands stop snitching culture. What do you mean? I don't know why she didn't show up. Because she can't snitch. Being a snitch as a black person is worse than being a murderer, worse than being a rapist, worse than being a pedophile. People will get in a picture and hug and throw up gang signs with a pedophile before they'll take a picture with a snitch. Let that sink in. And this man right here, he's so confused because that community means shit to them. They have their own lives to live. They're not sitting around worried about black people bullshit. Personally, black people bullshit will affect me. It has affected me. It's affected everyone. So I look into things and I'm looking for answers. I found the answers. People just don't like the answers because it goes against their narrative for victimhood. Because you can't be a victim when you're out here victimizing others. So people hate when you remove their crutch, and I'm not, and I'm kicking all crutches.
Go, because no, there was nobody there to testify against him.
I think that the DA's office admits that mistakes were made in that case and that they should have gone. They had other evidence that would have been able to, they was going to have a successful prosecution. So,
right. Why does she have to show up?
So, well, because frequently victims are afraid. I mean, that's one of the big issues. So
yeah, I understand why she didn't want to show up, but let her do it on Zoom.
They just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to think about it. I can understand that, but it is what it is.
23-year-old Kada Scott has been missing for nearly 2 weeks. Now, as details come out about her alleged captor, Keon King, the DA's office says they could have.
He could be involved, but I'm going to tell you this, they're not going to be able to convict him of the murder. If they don't find his DNA on her or inside her or something like that, no one's going to come testify against him. His last victim didn't show up to testify against him because it's not a part of the culture. And her family, because of he's black, they're not screaming for justice. They're not going to go out there. They didn't even show up for the press conference. Some random bald-headed black dude showed up talking about, I'm for the community. Get the fuck out of here. You're just trying to get a couple dollars. Get out of here. You're trying to collect some food for yourself to take home. Maybe some Afro sheen for your bald head. You don't really care about this girl. They don't care about shit. They don't care about themselves. Why do you think they support criminals and they love celebrating criminals and killers, and they don't care about shit? We do because we're the public. They don't. It's not a part of their culture.
Done more to prosecute him in the past.
We could have done better in that a really sophisticated approach to the case would have been to try to put it all on with video evidence.
The district attorney is talking about a previous kidnapping charge against King in January. This viral video shows a man alleged to be King peering through windows while a person screams for police to be called. According to charging docs, King kidnapped and assaulted the woman in his car. His 2-year-old daughter was in the back seat.
So, a George Soros appointed district attorney is just out here letting kidnappers. And guess what? The black community, the NAACP, all these people that talk about prison reform and no cash bail and how laws are racist and everything's just slanted. They all were so excited that this man was let out of prison. They loved it. But see, they like it because he's a weapon for them. But when it comes to an emotional weapon like a black person, you never know if the weapon's going to go off and shoot you or shoot who your target is. They were hoping he was going to go out and kill somebody white. But instead, they always end up killing their own black people. Even the serial killer in Vegas. He killed a black lady who was a mom of 7, took her to the hotel room, and was out of there in 5 minutes because he immediately. She probably walked in, opened the curtains, turned around, boop, killed her, no problem, and just left. So they're targeting black women, these black serial killers, but they're targeting other people too. But they're making sure they get that black woman quota. They're knocking that down. This other woman didn't show up. They could have put her on a Zoom call, but then that would defeat the purpose if you're trying to get him out of jail and you're trying to make sure no one calls you racist. This is disgusting. But it's so funny because we live in a constitutional republic that's supposed to be against crime and we believe in law and order, but we have an entire communist community that our capitalism pays for their food and their housing every month. And we're just allowing them to commit crimes, and we're just feeding them in jail until eventually they get out, they commit more crime. Man, it's just, we're a joke. Instead of removing birthright citizenship from these people and return to sender, send them back to Africa, let them start their own communities, but get them away from America. It costs too much money to house them. It's too dangerous to stay here. I think no matter what country you're originally from, or even if you're from America as far back as 1,000,000 years, after your third offense, your citizenship is something that can be removed. Birthright citizenship abolished, your citizenship removed, you can be deported. They used to have a country called Australia where they would send all the inmates from the UK. We're going to need something like that for criminals in the United States. And if the mass amount of people that we're exporting happen to be black because of their culture, then so be it. We have to do what's best for the country. We have to do what's best for our children. We have to do what's best for tomorrow. Being too emotional, well, we're all going to be burying our daughters because of men like this. Because the way things are now, it enables and it creates these men. Nothing deters these men from doing these crimes. And again, someone called in and told them right where to go look. Even though they looked there, they told them to go back and look. So either that person went and planted the body there and buried it, and that's why they missed it the first time, or they were involved with this person and they were shocked that you didn't catch them. Either way, somebody else was involved. But to say that and say he had a friend, well, of course his friend's going to be black. That'd be too racist. And no one, why do I got to be the one to point that out? That someone who called in an anonymous tip must have known what happened. Because how would you know that the body's there? The police already went over there and searched and they didn't find anything. How would you know to send them back? You were involved. But if you say there was another black person involved, well, that's white supremacy. Do you see how utterly ridiculous all of this is? I do. But yet I'm the bad guy. But you know, the reason that I have, even though I have my page is not that big, my channel's growing because at least I'm willing to have these conversations. That's why I go by Rico Rush Limbaugh. The things that people don't want to talk about, I'm happy to talk about them. I've never experienced the warmth of the cult, so you can't miss what you never had. And I'm not afraid of black people being mad at me. You got to think about it. They're killing everybody anyway. Whether I make these videos or not, if one of them sees me somewhere at the wrong place at the wrong time, I'm a goner anyway, just like everybody else. So you know, I'd rather at least I made these videos to begin with. At least I'm trying to help.
The case was dismissed earlier this year when the victim did not show up to court. Krasner noted King being out on bail as the reason why.
The reason they had to worry that he was going to come out of the same door they went in the courthouse right after they testified against him is because he was on bail.
Why was he on bail? A kidnapper, Puff Daddy, didn't get bail. Puff Daddy didn't kill anybody. Puff Daddy was found not guilty of trafficking, wasn't getting convicted of domestic violence. He was not guilty of the RICO charge. He's doing 4 years right now with no bail over them saying that he was a John, that he basically paid prostitutes. There's not a man in America that's in jail for that. So you mean to tell me Puff Daddy can be in jail and literally had no bail this whole time, and he had to go to trial, and he's going to be in there for 4 years he's sentenced to. But yet you got an actual kidnapper who's a threat to society. You gave him bail. And I don't think somebody in his family came and bailed him out. He's a criminal. So the bail must have been so low that there was probably a fund or something, some nonprofit that paid it just so he can get out and go reoffend. So that's the thing. It's like a weird bias that they're using. It's like, what's it called? Lawfare. They wanted Diddy, so they used the law to go after him. But this guy is a nobody. They refused to apply the lawfare. They actually want him to commit more crimes because he's a weapon. They can use him. They couldn't use Diddy anymore. All of this is just it's a big joke. It's all a fucking clown show. It's a joke. I hate to use this kind of language, but it's a joke. It's a clown show. There's no consistency. People don't even want the law applied to everyone equally. If you're a regular black or white American, you're beneath the law. You have to follow the law. But if you're an immigrant or an illegal, you're supposed to be above the law. The laws should not apply to you. You're immune to it. So I can get arrested if I'm pulled over. If I commit a crime, I get arrested. But if I was an illegal, if somebody tries to arrest me, people are going to ram the police cars and jump out and take out cameras and scream at them. This is a joke. It's a clown show. None of this is making sense. None of it adds up. And I'm tired. I don't want to be a part of the show anymore. We have to stop the show. We can't go on like this. Something has to give. Something has to give. The vaccine is taking too long to kick in. That's why I said Fauci failed. Not because he failed to inject everybody. It's just that it's not working fast enough. We need results sooner. Or we're going to keep having to have these conversations, and this is going to be littering our news cycle. We can't even focus on politics. We have serial killers running around.
King, who initially had those charges dropped, is now accused of kidnapping Scott.
We're fairly sure of the track that he took the night of Kada's disappearance.
Wednesday, investigators searched Auberry Park and the abandoned Ada Middle School. You see officers pick up a phone case believed to be hers. Police also found a debit card with her name on it, an iPad case, and glasses. That same day, they found the car King was allegedly driving with Kada inside, a 1999 metallic gold Toyota Camry at this condo complex in East Falls. Her family told Good Morning America they're holding on to hope.
I love her. Her family loves her. We want her home.
And her family has raised more than $10,000 so far for a credible tip that brings Kada home. As for Keon King, his bail has been set at $2.5 million. Live here.
So his bail now is $2.5 million. But this last kidnapping case, it wasn't like it's a joke. All of this is just a bad joke. It's a poor joke. I don't know. If you agree with me, like this video, share it, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, do the same. Right Wing Rico, $ the single boyfriend on Cash App. If you want to help me expand my studio. If you go to my page, you'll see I have hundreds of videos, but I'm an amateur. Now I want to be more serious about it. I'm going to build out a studio. So I'm doing some fundraising. I have some of my own funds, but I want to buy new cameras, new lighting. I want to build a studio. I'm going to be asking my audience to kind of just, help me get there. And you guys, I've been getting emails from people and people have been sending me stories. So I want to talk about them all. I'll do this all day, every day. I will literally sit here for 8 hours on stream. I just don't know how to monetize it yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. So in the meantime, I'm just going to do stories and just talk to you like we're just by ourselves in a bar having a conversation. The same things I would say if we were just sitting alone, or the same thing I'm going to say right now when I have hundreds of people sharing this video, thousands of people viewing it over the next few weeks. I don't care. I don't care about the opinion of these people. As far as I'm concerned, they're the number one threat, not just to each other, but to everyone, to the country as a whole. And this is proven. This is proof. There's so much proof. Turn on Twitter. All the proof is there you need. I'm not going to ignore it because I'm afraid of what people are going to say. People are not going to like you anyway. Never forget, they talked about Jesus too. So I'm not expecting them not to talk about Rico, okay? I'm a guy wearing fake glasses with a MAGA hat on the internet. They're going to talk about me. Go for it. Like and subscribe, share the video. Right Wing Rico, the single boyfriend. This poor girl had to pay the price for all this other nonsense going around. Well, guess what? We can save other girls. We start profiling these black serial killers and stop ignoring them. Give them the equality that we would give someone who was white that was a serial killer. It's insane that I have to say this, but this is where we are. I'll be back shortly, and thank you to our sponsor, CodeSigning.com. And I'll hopefully be monetized on YouTube soon. So in the meantime, I just appreciate the donations. That's how we're keeping this program going. Thank you, and I'll see you again shortly.